Power. Law 1. Never outshine the master. Always make those above you feel comfortably superior. In your desire to please and impress them, do not go too far in displaying your talents, or you might accomplish the opposite. Inspire fear and insecurity. Make your masters appear more brilliant than they are, and you will attain the heights of power. This law has costed many people not only their jobs in contemporary times, but it's a law that has costed many lives in the past. The firm of Jessica Pearson, where Harvey Specter works, is about to merge. Jessica Pearson, the managing partner, who is also the mentor of Harvey Specter, wants this merger to happen. Harvey Specter, which is her gunslinger, doesn't want it. And Harvey makes a deal with the third party of the merger. If Harvey wins, the merger won't happen. But he makes a fatal mistake that so many of us make. A fatal mistake you most likely have made in the past as well. He outshines his direct superior, framed as his master.
Are you suggesting a wager? You lose, we don't merge.
Well, looks like you two are getting along.
You're angry.
I see what you're doing. If you win by cheating, you win. And if you lose, then they think you're dirty and they won't want to merge.
What's gonna happen after I beat Darby?
You think I'm playing with you? That stunt you pulled? Fruit from the poison tree. I will have that reversed on Tuesday.
I can go.
Where are you gonna go? Even if I let you out, it's the same out there, only worse. And you'll be a winner, but not a leader. And you won't have me.
Harvey took the battle on, fighting the one who controls his resources. As he was about to win, Jessica took control of the person who would assure Harvey's victory by blackmailing him.
I can't tell you that. You're on the other side.
Is there some rule against my checking on my own employee?
I'm confident that after tomorrow, you'll either settle or lose.
And why is that?
Because I've prepared a motion.
What does it say?
It says you're gonna lose.
Then that's too bad, because you're gonna throw it away.
What?
You heard me. You're going to go home. You don't call, you don't answer, and you don't come back until that deadline is passed.
Wait a minute. I won't.
You will.
Harvey will never forgive me.
Right now, your problem isn't with Harvey. Your problem is with me. You don't do this, who's to say you don't end up in a cell for practicing law without a degree?
She had the power of Harvey's associate, since this is her firm. She wasn't going to let her own employee outsmart and outwit her.
Sorry.
You're fired.
Come on.
No, he's not.
Oh, you gonna overrule me on that too?
You can go. I had a deal that put your name right next to mine. And it wasn't even up there yet, and you started acting like it was on top of mine.
To protect you.
Bullshit. This wasn't about protecting me. This was about advancing you.
You're afraid of me.
Afraid of you? Boy, I just kicked your ass. And you didn't just want it, you begged me for it. So now, you're going to stay here, be humble, and learn your goddamn place.
Harvey got put in his place, but eventually learned from his mistakes. Harvey and Jessica have tight bonds, loyalty, and their individual character has kept them together.
Harvey, when are you gonna leave Pearson? Work for a man.
I'll leave Jessica anytime you want. You just have to formally ask. And then after that, why don't you formally ask Santa Claus to bring you a pony, because I'm not leaving Jessica.
You may not have a strong bond like that with your direct superior. Remember, all masters want to appear more brilliant than other people. They do not care about science or empirical truth or the latest invention. They care about their name and their glory. Instead of insecurity, you must give him glory. Do not outshine the master. It might cost you your life, like it costed Nicolas Fouquet's life. Make the master outshine all others. Keys to power. Everyone has insecurities. When you show yourself in the world and display your talents, you naturally stir up all kinds of resentments, envy, and other manifestations of insecurity. This is to be expected. You cannot spend your life worrying about the petty feelings of others. But with those above you, however, you must take a different approach. When it comes to power, outshining the master is perhaps the worst mistake of all. Those who attain a high standing in life are like kings and queens. They want to feel secure in their positions and superior to those around them in intelligence, wit, and charm. It is a deadly but common misperception to believe that by displaying and vaunting your gifts and talents, you are winning the master's affection. Nicolas Fouquet was King Louis XIV's finance minister in the first years of his reign. Fouquet expected that he was falling out of favor of the king, and so he decided to ingratiate himself with the king by staging the most spectacular party the world had ever seen. Fouquet was a generous man who loved lavish parties, pretty women, and extravagant lifestyle. The party's real function was to pay tribute to the king, the guest of honor. The most brilliant nobility of Europe and some of the greatest minds attended the party. The party began with the lavish 7-course dinner. The meal was accompanied with music commissioned by Fouquet to honor the king. After dinner, Fouquet personally accompanied the king, and together they witnessed a fireworks display. The party ran well into the night, and everyone agreed it was the most amazing affair they had ever attended. The next morning arrives, and Fouquet is getting arrested by the king's head musketeer. 3 months later, he went on trial for stealing from the country's treasury. Actually, most of the stealing he was accused of, he had done on the king's behalf and with the king's permission. Fouquet was found guilty and sent to the most isolated prison in France, high in the Pyrenees Mountains, where he spent the last 20 years of his life in solitary confinement. Interpretation. King Louis XIV was a proud and arrogant man who wanted to be the center of attention at all times. He could not countenance being outdone in lavishness by anyone, and certainly not by his finance minister. Friends, it is a deadly but common misperception to believe that by displaying and vaunting your gifts and talents, you are winning the master's affection. He may feign appreciation, but at his first opportunity, he will replace you with someone less intelligent, less attractive, and less threatening. He won't admit the truth, but will find an excuse to rid himself of your presence. This law involves 2 rules that you must realize. First, you can inadvertently outshine the master simply by being yourself. There are masters who are more insecure than others, monstrously insecure. You may outshine them by your charm and grace. Second, never imagine that because the master loves you, you can do anything you want. Remember the following. Never take your position for granted, and never let any favors you receive go to your head. You can turn this law to your advantage. You must flatter and puff up your master.
Okay, I have 2 words for you. Absolutely beautiful.
You think you're the only one who can charm a client?
Categorically stunning.
How's the new kid working out?
Regally hot.
You're an idiot.
Jessica Pearson.
Overt flattery can be effective, but has its limits. It is too direct and obvious and looks bad to people around you. Discreet flattery is much more powerful. If you're more intelligent than your master, for example, seem the opposite. Make him appear more intelligent than you. Act naive and make it seem like you need his expertise. Masters adore such requests. If your ideas are more creative than your master's, ascribe it to them in as public a manner as possible. Make it clear that your advice is merely an echo of his advice. Tone down your humor if necessary, and find ways to make him seem the dispenser of amusement and good cheer. He must appear as the sun around which everyone revolves, radiating power and brilliance, the center of attention. A display of your limited means may win you his sympathy. Guys, here's how it's done. In the early 1600s, the Italian astronomer and mathematician Galileo found himself in a precarious position. He depended on the generosity of great rulers to support his research, and so, like all Renaissance scientists, he would sometimes make gifts of his inventions and discoveries to the leading patrons of the time. But he needed money, not gifts to survive, which he usually received. In order to secure a life worth of funding, he aligned the name of the Medicis with astronomical importance. Galileo turned his discovery of Jupiter's moons into a cosmic event honoring the Medici's greatness. In 1610, Cosimo II made Galileo his official court philosopher and mathematician, with a full salary. For a scientist, this was the accomplishment of a lifetime. The days of begging for money were over. So, in one stroke, Galileo gained more with his new strategy than he had in years of begging. The reason is simple. All masters want to appear more brilliant than other people. Puff up the master and be the star. Just remember, the master is the sun. Any attempts to impress him with your grace and generosity can prove fatal. Friends, remember this, it is not a weakness to disguise your strengths if in the end they lead to power. By letting others outshine you, you remain in control, instead of being a victim of their insecurity. This will all come in handy the day you decide to rise above your inferior status. Reversal of the law. Here's when the law doesn't apply. You cannot worry about upsetting every person you come across, but you must be selectively cruel. If your superior is a falling star, there is nothing to fear from outshining him. Do not be merciful. Gauge his strength. If he is weak, discreetly hasten his downfall. Outdo, outcharm, and outsmart him at key moments. If he is very weak and ready to fall, let nature take its course. It is a natural course of things that power eventually fades and weakens. Your master will fall someday, and if you play it right, you will outlive and someday outshine him.